Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. Even after my last update I made you guys yesterday, Bitcoin pumped even harder. It painted almost the double of the last candlestick that I updated you guys with, and so we are now commenced in what appears to be bull season. Now, this could go for a leg lower, and I talked about that, but I'm finding that less likely, especially with the price action that we saw last night. Things are looking up and up for cryptocurrencies across the board. Even though the altcoins might go down for another leg lower, this is setting the stage for the next cycle high that's going to bring a lot of profits and gains to your guys' pockets. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos like the one provided for you here. If you're looking for signals or if you want to share analysis of your own, click the invitation link in the description of this video and then you're going to get access to my Discord server. Currently, we've got about 196 members, so help me to get my goal of 200. We only need 4 left, so jump in there. It's going to be awesome to see you guys a part of that. All right, guys, let's jump right in the video today. All right, so to start here, we're going to be taking a look first at Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the driver of value inside the cryptocurrency market. Now, my last update, we were just inside of this little candle down here, or I should say this massive candle, and we were kind of fighting with this $8,300 level. But from the update of that video, we actually had this candle body close all the way up back above that resistance that I was watching. Technically, I told you guys to watch for 8,350. I said as long as this candle body could close above that, then it was going to be short-term bullish. And then we actually closed much higher. We closed upwards of about 8,700. And then we had a huge green candle that took us all the way up to 10,460. So that was a very massive move. I mean, over the course of 2 days, you're looking at roughly about a 40% return from the candle body close to open. So about 40%. It was a massive, massive spike in Bitcoin's price. Now, why did this happen exactly? Now, a lot of people will take the argument that this is all due to the Chinese president announcing that they were going to be starting to develop and implement blockchain technology across their country. And so this is something that could be noted. Really, guys, I don't like to trade news. I don't always like to pick on one news article that says this is the thing that's going to pump the price, because oftentimes it's not. There's so many correlations with inside of price. There's many people that have to be buying at a certain time, and we can't really dictate who's buying. And so we don't know if it's institutions that bought this dip. We don't know if it was retail FOMO from the news that broke out in China. And so really it's not that important to me. It doesn't matter why it really pumped. But what I can say is that we had 5 impulse waves down. It was coming at the terminal end of a C leg, which had the possibility for a breakout anyways. And so for me, I like to trade technical analysis. You can't really bet on a news article or anything else upon that matter necessarily, but technical analysis doesn't lie, and it really does help you to put yourself at a strategic advantage over the rest of the market. It really does help to mitigate all of the crazy noise and chaos that goes inside of trading in a market. And so really, guys, what I'm watching for currently, and really what I've been telling you guys since really the first or the second lower high that we saw right in here, was I said that we needed to clear this descending resistance. And this has been a strong descending resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different price confirmational touches off of that resistance. And now we're actually reacting it for a 6th time. Only this 6th time, we're actually seeing this candle body closing outside. And so for me, I am bullish. This was my big go-to that I'd been telling you guys about for a while. This entire correction, I've been saying, it's not a bull market until we break out of this descending resistance, which we have done now. So really, guys, what we need to see is as long as this daily candle body closes outside of this resistance, I'm going to be bullish. If we start closing back within here, it's going to be a little bit more skeptical, and we're going to have to watch and see for true confirmation. But as of right now, where it stands, this is looking very bullish. And I mean, it's hard to necessarily be bearish when we just had a 40% swing over the course of 2 days inside of Bitcoin. And so for me, guys, I am short-term bullish. I think that this is the confirmation that I've been waiting for with Bitcoin. Just to see that piercing of the descending resistance is looking very, very good. And so this does have what appears to be the early signs of a completed downtrend and a completed correctional phase. Now let's actually drop it to a 4-hour time frame. Now on the 4-hour, we're going to see something a little bit different. On the 4-hour, we can see that we're outside of this descending resistance, and we're now retesting that as support. And so what I would like to see right here is us to hold support. It is possible we could go a little bit lower, but I would not like to see us go too low. Really, my lowest target that I'd like to see, and this would be a good time for entries, is about 8,800, right about there. I think that we can short-term pierce back within this descending resistance, but I do want to see a nice buyback come from around this level. I'd have to say the bare minimum before I'm going to start thinking that this might be a little bit more bearish would be down to about 86.50. Right there in that zone is where I would be targeting for a buyback, and it could be the potential to be buying back right where we're at now. And so that's just something to stay aware of. And so this is kind of the way that I'm going to be playing my Bitcoin trades. Overall, we have had a nice breakout. I don't think that there's any reason we should be too bearish off of this current price action that we're seeing here, because overall we had a very solid impulse out of those lows. And so for me personally, guys, you know I'm rocking with a bullish outcome. I think that since we've pierced this descending resistance, we're going to continue to go upward. Now, I would like to see this candle body close up a little bit higher. That would be ideal, but it doesn't have to. We could technically close just outside of this descending resistance and then have another daily candle that takes us back up higher. But I would like to see some nice price action ensue out of this daily candle close. So this is kind of what I'm going to be watching for. Really not a lot has changed. Overall, the same strategy that I'm rocking with. Not much has changed for the most part. If you guys are scared about this big wick that we saw here, this is kind of to be expected. I mean, this was a 40% swing, and we slammed straight into major resistances. This was a big old stop hunt. And a lot of people that were shorting the market got stopped out because, I mean, if it swings 40% in the opposite direction, that's a ton of liquidations. And so that's going to be a lot of selling on the market. So it would make sense that we would see a short-term pullback from that move. But the fact that we're still seeing strength, I mean, dropping it to a shorter time frame, we can see that we're still trending outside of this descending resistance, and it's now acting as support. So as long as we can continue to maintain that bias, there's no reason to be bearish. We have technically made a higher high. We're just waiting to see how support is going to hold. But as long as support holds, guys, you can expect further impulses to come. And I think they're going to get very sizable from this point on. Now let's actually dive into the total market cap for the altcoins. I want to share with you guys a very awesome pattern that I've been seeing playing out. This is a comparison that was first brought to my attention from High Altitude Investing, or Dallin Anderson. So shout out to him for giving me this awesome analysis that I was able to kind of watch over the last couple months. But now I'm starting to see it play out almost identically. And so let's dive in and share with you guys exactly what I'm watching from this perspective with the altcoin market cap. So here we are taking a look at the altcoin market cap. The altcoin market cap to me looks like one of the most symmetrical market cycles that I've ever seen. This is one that shows a lot of profit potential. Now, before we go through this, I quickly want to show you guys what happened with the last cycle. For you guys that maybe didn't have the opportunity to trade the last cycle, it was a very, very profitable one. And so this is kind of the way it happened. We went through this accumulation period, long, slow, drawn out, where prices really just chopped back and forth. And then we started the bull cycle. Now, this bull cycle, guys, pay attention to how parabolic this got. This thing was very, very, very impulsive. Many altcoins had insane price returns and ROIs, Ethereum being that leader. And so this is a very profitable cycle that is underway. Now, what I wanted you guys to pay attention of is how parabolic we got in that initial rally up. That was insane. That price discovery was something unseen in conventional markets up to this point. There's so much money flooding into cryptocurrency, and it created such a massive hype cycle. Now, why am I telling you guys about this? Why is that important to understand? Well, by taking a look at what's currently happening right here, we can see that price is really still at very, very low price structures in this cycle. I mean, overall, we haven't really made a very sizable bounce back up. Whatever bounce we did rally up, it hit straight into resistance only to sell off of. And so right now, we have a very tiny little move that went up here, right? Small move, but with this tiny move, look at all of the volume that has taken place here. There is a significant amount of volume that is far greater than even the last cycle high that we saw up in here. In fact, it's probably about this entire cycle's high averaged all the way through here. And we can see that from the December lows, we had a nice increase of that volume. And then we've kind of tapered off at about here. Now, tapering off here is still significantly higher than the cycle high volume that we saw at the peak of 2018. Now, this, guys, is a very, very important sign. Volume precedes price, and that's a little rule that I've been teaching you guys that follow my channel for a while. Volume always precedes price. So generally speaking, you're going to see a big volume breakout at the terminal end of a correction, whether it's a bull cycle that's about to correct or whether it's a bear cycle that's about to reverse. Either way, you're going to see a lot of volume come in. Now, oftentimes you'll see a lot of sell volume that'll take place at the terminal end of a correction. Now, these are the two different ways in which I look for a market cycle to be nearing correctional end, and that is a massive sell candle that comes into the volume that's far greater than anything that we've seen after a massive sell-off. That's a pretty good go-to that the correction has ended. A lot of sell volume has just taken place. Now, not only that, even if there isn't a lot of sell volume that takes place, what you want to see after the rally up is just a lot of buy volume. And we can see that we've had a pretty significant amount of volume that's came in at a consistent rate. And so to me, guys, this is a no-brainer that this new cycle has started. Even though it was just a little tiny leg up, the next cycles are going to get very parabolic, and so it's something to pay attention for. The fact that we have this much volume coming in here, and especially with this most recent move in Bitcoin breakout, we have a ton of buy volume that came in here on the 3-day time frame. And so to me, guys, this is a very bullish sign, and it's something that needs to be watched closely because I think that we're at our earliest points of continuation before that next cycle starts. Now, realistically, guys, the biggest reason why I wanted to point this out to you is because I'm noticing a pattern. Now, this pattern was brought up to me by one of my close friends, Dallin Anderson at High Altitude Investing. So shout out to him once again. This is something that is very important that I feel as if everybody should be paying attention to because it's something that I expect to play out almost identically. Now, I shouldn't say identically, but I think it'll play out very similarly. Market cycles generally follow the same sort of symmetry between new cycles and the old, and so I would expect it to kind of follow that same sort of trajectory in which it has thus far. So let's actually dive in and show you guys exactly what comparison I am looking at as follows. Okay, so here we are taking a look at the Brave New Liquid Index for Bitcoin. Now, if you guys do not know what this chart is, this is just the all-time graph of Bitcoin. If I drop it to a log scale, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this is just all of the price data that we have in Bitcoin. And so by taking a look at here, I wanted to show you guys a pretty awesome pattern that I'm noticing and one that was pointed out to me. Now, this was the very first market cycle that Bitcoin ever had. This saw it go from, 5 cents all the way upwards of about $2, I believe. Oh, probably actually $30. Yeah, so about 32 bucks was the cycle high. So we literally went from 50 cents to $32. So this was a very parabolic run. The most parabolic run as far as percent return that I think we saw inside of Bitcoin. And so this was something that was very expansive. But what I wanted to point out is the fact that the altcoin market cap seems to be following this same fractal. And I'll pull it up here so that you guys can see. We can see that we had the cycles. We can see that we had the bull run, we had the cycle high, and then we started consolidating and retracing back down in the cycle of the bear market. And we can see roughly the same pattern. We had the cycle, we had the bull run, we had the cycle high, and then we started retracing. And we get this big sell-off, a big buyback before we kind of sell off into that one final leg down. And this is similar to what we saw here. Blow off top, we sell off, we get this first buyback, and then we kind of just trickle down for one more leg down. And this is the same sort of symmetry that we're seeing on both of them. Right here, we trended just at support before failing. So this one we'll label yellow as more of an indecision. Right here was really that first support that we had before our final sell-off. We'll just label that as green. And then this was our final sell-off right here. We'll label this red. And we'll actually label this one orange so it makes a little bit more sense. So orange and red. And this is the same way that this cycle is playing out. So we had the blow off top, we had our first buyback right here, and then we go into roughly the same sort of market symmetry. Right here we had our final support. Right here we had our final support, so we'll label that yellow. The next one was our final drop before our final sell-off, so we'll label that orange. And then we have our final sell-off that takes us down to new lows. And then that starts our first real capitulation where we have our last sell-off, and then we make our first little leg up, right? And this is the same that we're seeing here. We made our first little leg up, and we're kind of just consolidating and rounding out. before we see further bullish continuation. So this cycle is roughly the same as what we're seeing inside of the total market cap for the altcoins. Is the first Bitcoin cycle that ever happened. And it would make sense, guys, because this was the first altcoin cycle that ever happened. I mean, this was really the first cycle technically, but this was all kind of one big move in the short term. And so this to me looks as if this whole thing was just one big cycle, and we're about to have another very big cycle underway. And so this was a pattern that I wanted to share with you guys. And I mean, it's important to note because look what happened to Bitcoin after. Let's remove the drawing tools. Guys, this is what happened to Bitcoin after we had these lows down in here. Basically, the most parabolic cycle that we had inside of Bitcoin. Everything just went straight up. You are literally buying like down here, basically. Clear back down in here when nobody wants to touch it. And you're about to see one of the most profitable market cycles underway. And so this is something to pay attention for, guys. The symmetry of the altcoin market cap is closely following the very first Bitcoin bubble that we ever had. And what is about to be underway, guys, is a big, big, big bubble. And I want to make that very clear. What happened after these accumulation lows was a very impulsive cycle. I mean, based off of percent return from the lows to the top, we saw about 23,000%. 23,000% return off that cycle. Let's see what a 23,000% return would put us if we were able to manage to eclipse what Bitcoin did back in the day. See, 23,000%. That would put the market cap at about $18 trillion. And I don't think that that's unrealistic to think about in the least. I mean, $18 trillion, sure, that's a lot of money to flood into crypto, but this is a revolutionary asset class that I honestly would not be the least bit surprised to see it go to these valuations. I mean, I've made videos in the past talking to you guys about kind of where I expect to see the market cap years down the line from now, and I've told you guys $50 to $80 trillion, and I think that that could even be an understatement. There is so much wealth in the world just waiting to be unlocked. And so it would make sense to me that with this next cycle having institutional adoption taking place, this is going to be the real cycle where a lot of that money starts to flood into the markets. And so if cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is really supposed to revolutionize the world, in which many of us believe it will, it's not unrealistic to think that it can have these major price market cap levels. And it really is something that needs to be paid attention to, guys, because this is all just speculation. Nobody really knows what is going to happen inside of cryptocurrency. Nobody knows how high this is going to go. But what I can say is that this blockchain technology movement is going to revolutionize everything that we do in modern society. And cryptocurrencies are honestly a front runner of that. They were the first real technology to be built upon the blockchain. And so they're going to see a massive price spike because of that. Now, I'm not saying that it could be farly overvalued by the time we hit up to these points and we'll have a big correctional phase. But what I can say, guys, is there's going to be a lot of money flooding into these markets. And so it's important that we're accumulating now while everybody is so fearful, so that we're preparing ourselves for that next cycle. Because the next cycle is going to be very parabolic. It's going to be something that's going to be so euphoric that I think most people will not be expecting, especially not right now. I mean, what we're seeing currently inside of the market is a very little leg up, a small little leg up, right? No, not very much hype at all. But this is smart money, guys. Smart money's buying this. Look at how much volume is in this cycle currently. And it's just a little leg up. Remember, guys, smart money is going to go incognito. They're going to be accumulating when everybody else is the most fearful. They're not going to be touching it. Everybody's going to be so scared out of the market that they don't even want to hear about cryptocurrency. But that's when smart money's making the moves. Smart money bought this dip. They created this dip. And that's why we're seeing such a big volume breakout. And what precedes price? Volume does. And so what that means is smart money bought the dip and we made this first little leg up. Dumb money's going to start seeing this volume, but they're not going to look to be buying into this until we start breaking out and start impulsing higher. And so for me, guys, this to me looks like a very early market cycle, one that has a ton of profit potential. And this is really just setting up to be the most profitable cycle inside of cryptocurrency I think we've seen up to this point. Now, many people will argue against the possibility of there ever being 1000x returns. I find that highly unlikely, and I think that we are going to see many 1000x projects because we have up to this point. There's a ton of money waiting to be unearthed in society, and that money is going to be flooding into crypto and specifically blockchain tech. And so this bubble has a lot of potential to get very overblown. I'm not saying that all of these are the equivalent value of which the project shows, because oftentimes these are overvalued projects and assets. And so by the end of this bubble, there's going to be a ton of overinflated assets, but by getting in right now, you have an opportunity to make a ton of money off of the pre-run that we're about to experience. Alright guys, this was the video I had for you. I don't want to go into too much more detail. I wanted to keep things short and simple. I'm kind of busy today, but this is what I wanted to share with you. Shout out to Dallin Anderson at High Altitude Investing for sharing with me this fractal that he noticed inside of the market cap from the early Bitcoin cycle and the altcoin market cap as stands right now. This is a very awesome pattern that I feel everybody should be paying attention to, because we are now just starting the most profitable cycle that we've ever seen up to this point. So stay tuned for that. Get ready. Get your bags packed. Don't get shaken out by all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is the big move. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.